Hi all, let's have a look at another amazing game from the St. Louis Blitz event. So Garry Kasparov was playing against Nakamura. This is in round 13, which is sometimes Kasparov has preferred that as to his lucky number, like he was the 13th world champion. So would he be lucky in this round against Nakamura, one of the top Blitz players in the world? D4, knight f6, we have a Nimzo Indian defense, and Kasparov uses his favorite move, queen c2. And now after castling, he prompts black to give up the bishop. Usually black does give up the bishop here, doesn't retreat to e7, well, that has been seen before, but black gave up the bishop. d5, knight f3, d takes, pretty standard so far. b6, and there's quite a few moves that I've seen like in this position, queen c2, bishop f4, bishop g5. But Kasparov plays a fun move, and he did indicate he was trying to have fun in this event as well. Can you guess the move Kasparov played? I'll give you a clue. There's a bishop here without any counterpart. I think that's part of it. It's actually, I know it looks completely crazy, but I think it's kind of related to this. Personally, I think it's related to this particular trump card. Bit of amusement, this move, h4, because sometimes on h6 you can imagine the dark squares being compromised even further. So we've got this dark square bishop where there's no counterpart. That's, I think, the basis of it. So c5 was played. That was taken, but here, not taking here. It looks too dangerous to take there. It just gives, you don't want Nakamura to have a massive initiative or piece activity in a blitz game, even though it's not entirely clear how black's completely winning, but it becomes more difficult to play. No, that's just ignored that. And h5, yeah, the threat now is h6. That's parry, but now this is another fun move. Guess what was played here, if I give you 5 seconds. Yes, and I'm so happy Kasparov is having fun in this game. g4. Yes. He's just going to batter down the king if black's not careful. So we have this trying to get the queens off. Kasparov obliges and plays g5. He's still got a persistent advantage here. HE bishop takes g5. This is still dangerous with h6. So f6 is played. Bishop drops back. White has the bishop here. And also this h-pawn advance does provide a convenient way for getting this rook in the game, as we're about to see. Knight d4 was played. That is a very, very weak, vulnerable pawn here. And actually, you might think, hold on, why did black play knight c6 then, given that rook c1 is in this position coming up? If he plays this, yeah, h6, this is dangerous anyway. It's dangerous for black anyway, this position. Yeah, white's better anyway. It looks as though it's slightly better for white anyway. So it's interesting play by Nakamura to allow this position where he's completely damaging white's pawns, but he is losing a pawn here. So we have this seemingly wrecked pawn structure. Bishop d7, and now can you see what Kasparov plays? Making use of that h-pawn is my clue to you. Right? Rook h4. It's a way of starting to pressurize the central knight, actually, because if the rook can swing to d4 and then f4, f5 for example later, yeah, it's central. It's respectable. It looks odd, but it's about the center really. Rook d4 now. The threat, if white has a few moves, would be f4, f5. That's black's kind of one of black's best pieces here. Bishop b5. That's ignored. Bypassed. White wants to play f4 here. Plays it now. f5 to stop that. Bishop f3. King h7. Now we see bishop c3, rook e7, king d2, rook d8. Now white takes, and yeah, we should in theory have a very drawish position because it's opposite coloured bishops, and the rooks come off. It should be a draw, king e3, but there is, white has this idea of trying to go up here and create a passed pawn, clearly. G6. Now here, things get very interesting. You might think, why not just take on G6? Yeah, if white takes on G6, it should be a draw because the black king comes to the center, and it's opposite coloured bishops, right? There shouldn't be any problems here, really. There shouldn't be any problems here. But this is interesting what happened. H6. So it's making the king lose a bit of time here, taking on here, because the king, to get back into the centre, has got some path, and it might be able to assist on the queen side. Now we see after king d4 that there is a kind of weakness for the last move. For the king, if it wants to come back, it can come back to g7, and actually it should come back to g7 here. I'll give you an example. King g7, check, king f7, king b6, bishop b5, a4. Let's create this passed pawn. But what happens here is the king can actually come to assist, and black shouldn't be losing this. Even if white wins this pawn somehow, you know, black's holding the fort against these two. As long as this pawn is blockaded on a light square, there's no progress here. I mean, just to reinforce this, you know, we have a checked king out. We get a light square blockade, and you know, just say we win this pawn. It's opposite coloured bishops. It doesn't matter. This is total draw. But Nakamura plays actually king h5. Okay, so king c5, king g4, bishop d2, king f3. So Kasparov doesn't mind losing his f2 pawn because it's another way of getting the king to waste a load of time and load of hassle to take this pawn. When if the goal is to stop these two, this can be achieved by putting a bishop on this diagonal later to protect that pawn. So king b6, white is busy creating his own dangerous passed pawn now. Yep, forcibly creating a passed pawn over here. A takes. King c6, king e2, bishop c1, king d1, and now we have this bishop coming to this key diagonal. King d2, bishop e7, and actually the game ended here. It's actually now totally lost for black. Let's continue. King e3, bishop g5. So these pawns are not going anywhere. The bishop's going to have to give itself up soon. Say we get in this position, and then white casually just comes back. He's still got a pawn to win the game with. That pawn is enough. It just comes back and wins g6 and then f5. So yeah, the howler move was king h5 in this game instead of coming back to the rescue. But I think Kasparov kind of encouraged that howler when he played that interesting h6. It's like a little bit more hassle to cross over, but yeah, there was an opportunity to cross back and save that. It should be completely drawn, the opposite colour, you know, bishop ending. But anyway, I was very, very happy Kasparov won this game against Nakamura. I don't know if you can tell. I just was getting a little bit upset about his earlier games, and I agreed actually with many of his comments at the end of the tournament. Like, the Navarra game was heart-wrenching, not just for him but for other people. I mean, it was heart-wrenching because it was such a great creative effort, and I think many of us can identify that is one of the most painful ways to lose, when you played a really creative, fun game but lose in some, especially some forcing moves from when you had a win as well. That's one of the worst ways to lose, I believe. But he overcame that from the previous rounds and really bounced back, it seems, on the last day. So I was so happy that he managed to win this game, and let's see what happened in some other games that day. So it was a glorious day for Kasparov fans, I believe. And yeah, comments, questions, likes, shares appreciated. Thanks so much.